Hello, well here we are today again with my E46 BMW M3. Today what I'm going to do is replace my rear disc rotors. I have a new set of disc rotors. These look a bit, you can probably tell, look a bit worn, and you can feel the vibration in the back of the car a little bit when you brake, that telltale sign. So I've got some nice new ones, and I've also painted the inner part of the rotor to be yellow just like the front ones, but I'll show you all of that a bit later. So first things first, let's get the car up on jacks, up on stands, and get the wheels off, and let's get started, and I'll show you a bit more. But let's get it jacked up first, and I'll be back shortly. Hello, well remember, I've jacked the car up, but remember, put it on stands. I've got it on the jack points on both sides, put it on stands nice and sturdy. Now, what you need to do, you'll need a 6mm Allen key to undo these. These can be quite tight, but so you need to crack them first whilst it's together like this, so you can put the handbrake on, put it in gear to hold this still, or put a screwdriver in here, or even this Allen key. Well, sorry, not the Allen key, but put a screwdriver in there to hold the disc still whilst you crack that. Right, once you've undone them, these are now nice and loose. Okay, then what you need to do, and I've already done this, then what you need to do is get a screwdriver in here and open up the pads. So you need to push the piston back, so it's all the way back in is what I've done, so you've got plenty of room. You need to do that anyway. So all I did was put a screwdriver in here, lever it that way, and then once that opened up, I could then get the screwdriver between the pad and the disc and just simply push the piston back. So you need to do that before you get the caliper off. And to get the caliper off, there are two bolts, one here, as you can see I've already taken it out, and one up the top. 16mm, they can be quite tight, so be careful undoing that. You probably need a good spanner so you don't slip on it. And to undo it, you need to push the spanner up or that way towards the front of the car to crack it, undo it. So once you've got them undone, then you can lift the and you've got your pads pushed back, then you can lift the caliper off. Some people will say not to do this, but just gently leave it hanging there. And now we are ready to get the disc off. Oh, before you do that, you need to line this hole up. Before you take these off, line this hole up so you can back off the handbrake. So make sure you got the handbrake off in the car. And I've got it in neutral as well. So back off, there's like a little wheel, and then I'll show you once I get this disc off. The little wheel in there, back that off so that the disc will move freely. And then we can take these out and get the disc off. So I'll show you that in a moment, so we can undo both of these and we'll pull the disc off. Okay, so we've got the disc off. This is the wheel that you need to back off. It goes that way, inward, so when you get your screwdriver, come in through where the wheel nut goes, and you push it so it goes that way. So you're pushing downward. Okay, so the screwdriver's moving downward like that towards the hub to loosen it off. So you want that nice and loose. I've backed it off all the way, so don't worry about that at the moment. So you need to do that, and then we just literally, once we've got those two screws out that I showed you, these Allen key nuts, once you got them out, then just pull the disc off. My disc is a bit crap, as you can tell, a bit rather worn out, so going to put nice new ones on. So okay, so that's that one done. Off. Just have a quick check, make sure everything's all right, your brake shoes for your handbrake and all that, and let's put the disc on. I'm over the passenger side of the car. So what you need to do, remember, back this off all the way so the shoes close up, because we have a new disc now, and therefore the hub in the center will also be nice and new. So you need all this backed right off so it collapses right in. Just check everything else whilst you're at it before you put it back on. Once you've done that, make sure everything's okay, and then we can put our disc on. Right, and when you put the disc on, of course, make sure you line up these two holes. And when you do them up, don't do one up tight and then the other one. Do them up kind of right together, a couple of turns on that one, a couple of turns on that one, and keep going until the disc sits flat, because it must sit flat. And as you can see, I've painted my hubs a little bit and the outer bit there. Just make sure there's no paint. If you do the same, make sure there's no paint or anything on this disc surface, which I've done. I've cleaned it all off. I'm just going to tighten these up a bit, and let's put the caliper back on. Okay, once you've got the wheel back on, the disc hub back on, what you need to do is line up one of these wheel nut holes with the a bit difficult to see in there, with the wheel on that adjuster. And then I'm going to show, can't really see it, but you've got to line up with that adjuster. Then you use your screwdriver, go in this direction towards the back of the car, and you keep going until you just nip it up a little bit. It doesn't need to be tight until you can't turn the disc anymore. Then go towards the front of the car, or downwards a little bit, just to back it off, so that you can then start to turn the disc. Only just, only need a little bit, and then that should be enough for now before we put the wheel and everything back on, and that'll be your handbrake adjusted. You see, we back it off a little bit so we can turn that. Just have a quick look. So that's lined up. Just tighten it up a little bit. Just use a blade screwdriver. Just give it a little bit, not very much. Going towards the back of the car tightens it up. There we go. We can't move the disc. And then, and then we go back the other way, just a tiny bit, so we can start to move it. Not too much. Tiny bit more. You can feel it. And that's adjusting the handbrake. Don't forget, once you get the wheel on, although it might feel a little bit tight, once you get the wheel on, you'll be able to move it easier. So bear that in mind, because we'll adjust it again. Once we get the wheel on, we'll leave one wheel nut off so we can do a quick adjustment before we put it back on the ground. So that's adjusting the handbrake. So I'll just get on and put the caliper back on now, and we should be good to go. Don't worry about this surface here, by the way, before anybody comments. With a bit of paint, it's gone a bit, haven't done the best job on it, I admit. But once I put the wheel back on, you won't see this bit anyway, you'll only see in there. So should still look all right. But anyway, we'll show you that after. Okay, once you've got the caliper back on, make sure these nuts, 16mm by the way, there's one there, one at the top, remember, of course. So need to make sure they're done up nice and tight. Don't forget to put your sensor back in, or if you've got a new sensor, maybe you've got new pads as well. Clips in there, and there's another clip on the top there. See, right here, just lifts up, so don't worry about that. Now make sure you've done all that up, make sure everything else is in place okay. If you fitted new pads, make sure they're okay and not too tight. Nip these up, they don't need to be too tight, just nipped up, so that you know, obviously not too loose, you don't want them to be over tight either. And that's really the job done. That's all there is to it. So all there is to do now is put the wheel back on, finish adjusting the handbrakes, and we can go for a bit of a drive and bed them in a bit. But that's how you do the rear disc rotors on a BMW E46 M3 convertible. Hopefully that's been of some use to you. People find this useful, hopefully. I'm going to keep doing videos on the E46 convertible M3. There don't seem to be many videos on it, so I'll keep doing as I do things. I'll keep recording and uploading them. So hopefully you find this interesting. But anyway, before we go too far, let me get the wheels on. We'll do another handbrake adjustment, and then we can get going. Okay, now we're at the point where we have the wheel back on. See, kind of looks cool. You don't notice that bit that I haven't painted properly in the center bit there. But there you are. Discs all on. Check the calipers and everything all bolted up properly. Now we need to do the same thing as before with the disc to adjust the handbrake. So we line up, leave one of the wheel nuts off, line this up with that wheel, which I have. Sorry, I can't show you with the camera. It doesn't seem to want to. You kind of can't really see in there. But anyway, line up with that wheel I showed you when I had the disc off, and then we do the same thing. We adjust that till the wheel stops turning, till it grabs. Give it a nick up, not too tight, and then back it off slightly so you can turn the rim, and that should be enough. And then we'll go do the other side. So I'll just go on and adjust this. Do the same thing, just got a screwdriver, and we adjust that wheel using this, the same method, and that's all there is to it. So I'll go do this, and we're back in a moment. Okay, that's both wheels adjusted. You can just turn them, so that's nice. So not too tight. Now, to be sure, now that you've adjusted that, the last thing you want to do is now check the handle. You want 2 to 3 clicks. There you are. Lovely. I got 2 and a bit, so that should work fine. And that's how you do the handbrake on an E46, or sorry, not the handbrake, but the rear disc rotors on a BMW E46 M3 convertible. Now we'll jack it up and get it back on the ground and go for a drive. And oh, sorry, one more thing we just need to do is just gently pump the pedal a little bit to take up the slack, because when we push the pistons right back on the rear calipers on both of them. So just before we go anywhere, just make sure you got a nice pedal. There we go. Takes up the slack. So we're good to go. So I'll get this car down and we'll go for a drive. When you go for a drive, you take it easy whilst we make sure the brakes work okay. Okie dokie, car's back on the ground, and kind of looks cool. Not the exact same colour as the car, of course. It's a shame, but it's paint. It's actually caliper paint, so it'll be alright for the brakes. It should be fine. But kind of looks cool. That's the rear ones, and match the front ones. I think it's kind of cool in a way. So yeah, I'm sure some people will make a comment, won't like it or whatever, but anyway, I think it looks alright. So I'm now going to take it for a drive and test the brakes and bed them in a little bit, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, taking the car for a test drive. Works well, stops great. I think it looks good with the hubs like that, nice and yellow, match the calipers. So what I did, whatever you do, I'm lucky enough I got a long street before it gets onto the main roads or anything like that. So for those of you who don't know, have a crack at doing this, make sure, as I just did, I went up my road there, 20 mile an hour, stop, 20 mile an hour, stop a few times. A couple of reasons. We want to make sure that you can stop and your brakes work, nothing seizes, you know, want to make sure everything works properly before you step out onto another major road. I wouldn't go onto a main road just yet, so I took up a back road, took my car up there so I could again, got it up to 40, 50 mile an hour, stop, slow down, stop, those sorts of things, up and down the street, and I've just brought it back. Once the roads are a bit clearer, I will take it around the block, properly get out onto the main road on the ring road and take it around the block. I don't want to do that whilst there's traffic out there, because you want to make sure your brakes work properly. All seems fine, but nonetheless I'm going to do that before before I take it onto the motorway or anything like that. You just want to be sure, that's all. But hopefully that's helpful to people. I will show you now, which I neglected to show you, the tools you need to do the job. It's a very easy job actually, but let me show you the tools that you need. All you really need for the job is, well, I've got a torch, just want to be sure so I can see things. Socket ratchet, screwdriver, just a blade so you can adjust the handbrake. A 6mm Allen key to undo those 2 screws on the hub so you can get it off. 16mm spanner and a socket so you can get the brake caliper off. But I also have another spanner, just any old spanner, so you can hook into there to get you a bit of leverage to undo the bolts that hold the caliper on. You're going to want a 17mm for your wheel nuts and a decent breaker bar to loosen your wheel nuts, and a short extension, because I used this once I cracked the nuts on the wheels. I used this with the socket to undo the nuts, and a hammer just in case the disc rotor is a bit, because they can be a little bit stubborn sometimes, but thankfully I've had mine off before. But you might want to give it a bit of a whack to get it off. But that's all you really need, and of course, goes without saying, a couple of stands, car stands. I've got a couple of them. And of course, goes without saying, a jack, a decent jack, and I got a couple of blocks as well. A couple of blocks like this, just to prop the car up on the wheels, and also to chock the front wheels so the car doesn't roll. But that's all you need to do the job. You don't need a lot, and of course, a new set of disc rotors, and job's a good one. And if you buy the right kit, you'll get pads with it, as well as a new sensor. So don't forget to put the new sensor in and new pads. And then, of course, be careful when you take it for a drive to bed it in. But that's what you need to do the job. Hopefully this has been useful and helpful to somebody. Thanks for watching. Give us a big like, hopefully. And subscribe. I need some more subscribers, so the more people that subscribe, the more people that like what I'm doing, hopefully the better videos that I can do, and more videos that I can do to show you more about a E46 M3 convertible. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, cheers, bye-bye.